Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Football Market channel. This is the final word on the weekend. We're going to do this every week, but at a slightly earlier time. I got delayed this evening because I was on another podcast which overran. But this is a show that I want to be putting out on a regular basis every Monday. I want to get multiple guests in. I've got Harrison, who's been a regular last few weeks. He's going to be joining us. But the final word is a look back at Southampton's game that weekend. So if we play on a Monday, it'll go out on a Tuesday. But it's nice to we've both had an opportunity to go away and reflect upon the game, look back on the weekend's fixture against Brentford, and really digest it. Harrison, I've digested it massively the last couple of days. I've read a lot on social media. I was at a wedding at the weekend, so I've watched bits of it on my phone, and then I've had to come back and watch a rerun of it several times because I want to get my head around the goals. I've got some screenshots actually to look back at two of the goals, certainly the two errors anyway. A game which were dominated possession once again with 63% of the possession, but we walk away once again beaten because of individual errors. How did you see it?
Yeah, thanks for having me to start. I listened to it on the radio, if you get what I mean, so I managed to catch quite a good viewing of the game. I woke up. I have to say, Sunday morning, I woke up and I'm getting messages of friends and stuff, and it was still frustrating me, and I was getting really annoyed with a lot of the choices and decisions made on the pitch and obviously off the pitch, which I'm sure we'll come into. I have to say that it's now Monday. I've been back to work. I'm a school teacher, so I've had 5 weeks off. So first day back to work. Had a bit of perspective. And I rewatched the highlights again. And I think the highlights, obviously, they always try to show it to look more 50-50. But definitely. I've walked away today feeling a little bit less angry than I did. But I have to say there was a lot of frustration watching the match, which I've listening to the match, which I imagine that a lot of fans felt the same.
Yeah, I thought we played well in periods of the game. I think we started the game well, good on the ball, a little bit slow in build up at times, but we've had that in the last couple of weeks, and we've noticed that we're a little bit ponderous in possession, a lot of passing it around the back. I thought we played okay in spells, but the first goal actually, let's talk about the actual lineup because I should come onto the lineup. It's something that bothered me a little bit when I saw it. As I don't think for 1 minute I expected to see exactly the same 11 that we saw in the league game the week before.
Minus Ramsdale.
We were so poor, weren't we, against Forest? Look, I thought Ramsdale. I wasn't 100% sure he'd go in, but they spent a lot of money on him, so rightly so, get him in. He's not had any training, but I did think that there would be a change in the personnel, certainly the setup. It didn't look a great deal different to me. Not until we went behind, anyway. Were you surprised actually with the 11 he went with again, or did you just think he's shown a lot of loyalty?
I'm not necessarily disappointed with the 11 he went for. I'm disappointed with the formation he went with. The formation is one that massively we as Saints fans were crying out for. I mean, we all watch football. I think most fans watch Match of the Day in the evening. You can see how teams hurt other teams, and from my experience as a football fan, the things that I'd noticed about Brentford is that, their set pieces, they're very good at them. I think all Premier League clubs have become very good at set pieces. Ones that stay up definitely have. It's something they've had to learn. The other issue I found is you need to play a 4-3-3 against Brentford. You need to find those gaps in between the defenders and the fullbacks. And for me, playing the way we did, we know against Forest, we had both our strikers playing very wide, hugging the touchline, which nobody wanted. And the other problem is this time we didn't have that. We had Diaz and Armstrong taking turns over who would occupy the middle, with the majority of the time it being Adam Armstrong's, because Segara was playing so well on the right wing, right wing back, able to push forward.
That didn't he? Played really well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Really impressed with this weekend.
I think so far he's been my standout player over the first 3 games, which, considering I'm picking a defender when we've lost every single game,
He's played really well.
But he's our only one with a goal. So taking the goal aside, we played. He played really well, even without the goal. I mean, it's a quality finish, and it took a bit of experience to build it up with Lallana, and a bit of brilliance from Dibbling. So that's sort of where we go with that. But yeah, my lineup, my issue majorly was the formation. We struggled to make an impact up front, and I think we're all sat here wondering, going, where are the goals going to come from? We're all a little bit worried. And we did a video the other day of the transfer deadline, and I said an 8 out of 10, but I said originally 7.5, if you remember. And my biggest worry has been, where are goals going to come from? We had this debate, and I know some people in the comments have said, there's no such thing as a championship player. There's no such thing as a Premier League player. I think it's becoming evident there are. Armstrong has scored, what was it, 26 goal contributions or more last season for us in the Championship. He was absolutely incredible. And yet he's missed a volley that he would have put away every single day of the week in the Championship. He almost went 1-on-1 on goal, where he decided to run with the ball sideways rather than really attack at the goal and have a shot. There was an opportunity where I thought he could have shoot. He dragged it to the left, and they managed to cut him off between the two of them, and he got sandwiched and he got taken off him right at the edge of the box. If he's not going to beat them for pace, he's a sort of player. We know what his right and left foot are like. He can find the top corners. I'm surprised he didn't just shoot straight away if he thought he was going to be beaten for pace. It feels like to me he's already lacking in confidence. The question marks are over his head from day one.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that.
For me, there is definitely a difference between Championship players and Premier League players. Otherwise, we'd see Premier League clubs signing players from the Championship every single week.
He's wanted to show loyalty, and I get that. Totally get that. Really admirable that he's wanted to do that. But we're 3 games in now. We haven't got a point on the board. Pretty poor at home last week against Forest. I think he will have to compromise, not just on personnel now, but certainly the formation, without any question, in the up and coming fixtures, and I think potentially the way we play as well. The one big thing that really concerns me, Harrison, I don't know if it does you, and I want you guys to get involved in the comments box below, is that every pundit now is picking up on the style of play, the way we're playing, the mistakes that happen from the goals of the weekend. Everything in this division has been massively highlighted, and everybody's calling us out on it at the moment. And there's a bit, I look around today, and there's Jamie O'Hara's had a bit to say at Talk Sport. Owen Hargreaves from TNT. It's everywhere. And I think if we continue to play the way we're playing and continue to make the mistakes we're making, the pressure will be horrible. The United game, you see it as I see it as almost like a little bit of a free hit. But we go into that Ipswich game, and the pressure is really mounting already. I know we've only played 3 games. Everyone's calling for his head, and I'm very much like, it's still really early. He's got us to where we are. We have to stick with it. But it's good. This next block of 4 is going to be really, really tough. Really tough. We're going to have to eradicate these errors that we were making the weekend. And we'll take a little bit of a closer look at them. I've got a couple of screen grabs I'll show you in a minute, Harrison. But your thoughts similar to what I'm feeling?
I'm horrified. There's no other way to put it. That's where my frustration is coming from. We're already being nicknamed Burnley 2.0. We've got a manager that's turned around and said, I'm going to live and die by the sword. Okay, I understand that his philosophy is playing out from the back. The thing that I find ludicrous is that we're doing a kickoff with a player that's got distribution like Ramsdale, and our kickoff is Ramsdale stood on his yard line, and then we've got the other 4 of our defenders. Three of our defenders literally sat on the edge of the box, and they are literally going, "Come on, then, please high press us." Now, there's inviting pressure, and then there's all stood in a straight line like that, waiting for the ball to come to them, to then play it into the midfield, to then play it back again, to then play it wide, to then go back in the midfield, then to go back to the free defender that's then left on the left. Now, I can see that as a fan, and I'm pretty sure Thomas Frank saw it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he's a very good manager. He's managed to bring Brentford up. He's managed to keep them there. He's tactically very, very good. And Brentford are one of the best pressers in the league. Their forwards are so quick and misleadingly quick. You look at them and you go, oh, and Burma's not going to be, you know, he's big, but is he going to be that quick? And he is so quick. And Wissa, it is incredible the speed that they have in transition and on the counter. I think other than Liverpool, they're one of the best transitional teams, I think, in the Premier League. That when they get the ball and they counter, they just go. So we played into their hands. We said we're going to sit back.
And the goals they totally show that. I'll put one of the screen grabs on the screen now. This is a screen grab. This is classic, isn't it?
Yeah, so if I pick this apart, so as you can see, we've played the ball, we've played it wide, we've played it from midfield back to Harwood. Bellis has then got stuck, and you look at him there, he's either got to turn and go immediately to the goalkeeper, in which the player on the right of him is going to immediately press the goalkeeper and Ramsdale's going to have to go long.
Yeah.
Or he's having to try and find a bit of space, but he's got about a second and a half to make a decision on what he's doing here. The ball's coming back to him. The system, as you can see here, has been outpressed.
Yeah, totally outpressed.
The free option has gone.
There, haven't they? So Stevens has got a man on him.
Yeah, so they've outpressed the system, and this is what I mean when I say it's lunacy at times. Look how wide Seguara is, and that's not his fault. That's where he's supposed to be. Down to sat behind a player that's marked. Who has perfectly been able to press in a way to cover him. The person on Brentford's left wing has managed to press to block the option for Seguara. And even the player on the floor has made, I can't see who that is. Is that?
It's Bednarak.
It's Bednarak. As actually, even though he's on the floor, Bednarak is still unable to be passed to. We're playing ourselves out the game. That comment we saw that came up on the screen. We can't, it's the Premier League. Like in the Championship, we were getting away with this.
Yeah. The second goal was much the same though. When you look at the second, so this is the second goal. Again, they got four.
So they've got a 4v3.
Three of us. 4v. Yeah, impressed us, and we've got nowhere to go. There's nobody where the ref is. There's nobody in that area, is there? That's ready to receive the ball.
My biggest worry with all this. My biggest worry with all this is he needs to make changes. Like you look at the way Brentford play out from the back. They don't. I feel like with Saints, we get the ball out from the back and then we go, oh, we're not actually in a perfect position. You know, we haven't got all of their 11 men now behind the ball. You know, we need to go. I'll tell you what we'll do. You know, we've half beaten the press. We could actually go for a gamble and try and play a ball out wide and see what happens. And then worst case scenario, recycle it. But it's like they half beat the press and then go back again to say, no, until we completely beat the press.
Yeah.
And they're completely overloaded. We're not going to go for the ball. We're not going to go and have a go. And it is so frustrating because you're like, right, you've half beat them. Now have a go. That player needs to now pivot, turn and run forward. And space will open up. Players will make movement in front of him. But it felt like every time we wanted to attack Brentford, it felt that we had to wait until there was at least 10, 11 men behind the ball before we were willing to try and break them down. And I think that's the big
stat today as well for you, actually. You know, talking that you spoke about Jan Bednarik a minute ago, he's had more touches than pretty much any other Premier League player this season so far. I was told that on another podcast. I was like, wow. It's outrageous.
I would love to know how many of those passes are forward.
Yeah, a lot of them are sideways. That's for sure. But as you walk out of the G-Tech, beaten quite heavily, he's got a lot to think about, hasn't he? Now going into the international break, a terrible time, guys, for anyone tuning in. Give me your thoughts on the international break if you're watching live or you're on catch up. International break after 3 games, absolute nonsense. It just infuriates me, but it may come out as a blessing in disguise for us. It may just give Russell a little bit of an opportunity to reflect on the first 3, sit down with his staff and find the best way forward. For me, looking in, I think it's going to have to be system and personnel. I think we have to give him a little opportunity with the players that they've brought in over the summer. He needs to start bedding them in now. I really believe he's going to have to quite quickly. And at one point I put out there the weekend, you might disagree with me. People can get involved in the comments box below. I still think that with Armel Bella-Kotchap still at the football club, is there a point where you say he's going nowhere? We're paying him fairly decent money. Really and truly, he's one of the best centre backs at the football club. Harwood Bellis.
No, he's number 6. I don't know what you're on about.
Yeah, which is mad, really, because he's good. Harwood Bellis maybe needs taken out the firing line at the moment because he's having a really tough time. I think Mike mentioned it in the comments a minute ago about Harwood Bellis. He does really
I saw that with
having a
Stevens.
really, really tough time, doesn't he? And he's a good
player. He is a good player, but performance is everything, and it's so hard that Stevens has always been one of those that's been a very controversial player in our club, even though he's our captain. It's really odd that people either say, my stepfather's a massive Saints fan. He says, I'd rather have Stevens playing for the club than anyone else because he actually wants to go die for the badge, and then you've got other people that are like, he's not good enough. Why is he our captain? The fact that he's our captain means that we can't just cut him out the squad and it's hindering us. So it's like you've got catch-22 there. The other problem is you've got, with Harwood Bellis, his performances haven't been up to the standard we've seen last season. He's come to us, he's had a £20 million fee. He's England under 21 captain. He's got all of this sort of pedigree, as you would say, of a player. He's going to be the next John Stones and, stuff like that. And so far, really he looks nervous. He looks inconsistent. There's moments where I think, that pass was brilliant. You actually went for it then. And then there's other times where I think, what are you doing? Positionally, you're so out of it when they're countering us. And what was that? Like, he rugby tackled a player in the first half. Like, he's so out of position there. He's so scared of getting beat. The ball hadn't even been played yet.
Yeah.
And he rugby tackled him before the ball would even be played. He was that scared of the counter attack behind him. That says to me, that screams that he hadn't had his position right.
Yeah.
He pressed at the wrong moment and he got caught off guard. He thought, I've got nothing else to do. I'm going to rugby tackle the player in the first half and put myself on a yellow. I mean, anyone saying that he's, no offense, that if anyone's saying that they don't think he's, he hasn't been that bad, I think if they were to go back and rewatch, they would notice a few more things.
He's having a really tough moment. He's having
a really tough moment. He's young though, we have to remember. And this is the first time in his career that he's had, criticism like this. It's the first time playing in the Premier League like this. Hopefully he only get better. He'll adapt. I think you're right though. He could do with maybe being taken out of the lineup for a little bit.
There's probably a few that need taken out of the firing line. For me personally.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if we maybe we do a lineup in a minute.
He's got some really big decisions to make, I think, for the United game. I think Sport Republic have backed him in terms of in this window. When you look at what they've done, still what they've done with Ramsdale, the Fernandes signing is going to be really, really good. But spent big money on Archer. Leslie Ugochukwu come in from Chelsea, really, really talented young player. He looks the real deal when I saw him play the way. I thought it was outstanding. I think he's been backed. I think he's got some really good tools at his disposal. And every podcast I've gone on the last couple of days is, oh, you're going to get relegated. I was like, do you think you've got enough to stay up? Do you actually honestly think? And I said, I actually believe we've got the players that we could turn it around comfortably, but a lot needs to change. And you need to embed some of these players. I know it's been difficult because they've only just come in, but quite soon we've got an opportunity now. The window's shut. He has that opportunity to spend the international break with them and find a plan B and different ways of playing, because it's the Premier League. It's so ruthless, isn't it?
Yeah, it is another level, which is why, we've come up, we thought we could play the same way, even though we were getting found out against teams sometimes in the Championship. Yeah, it's kind of frightening, really. Sport Republic have backed him to a certain extent. The only issue is we've got a massive squad now.
It's huge.
Like ridiculously big. So at the same time, they've caused him an issue. So they've backed him a little bit financially, but at the same time, is there one player that you look at that we've signed and you go, that's where the goals are coming from?
Yeah.
In your opinion, have you looked at anyone we've signed and gone, do you know what? He's going to be the one that gets us the goals. I thought it was going to be Diaz when we first signed him. He's looked
I think he's
so underwhelming.
I'm not convinced playing him where he plays. I'd love to see him play through the middle and play as a 9. So the only person I really see scoring goals at this moment in time
Archer.
is Archer, Dibbling, and Fernandez are the two that look like they've got a bit about them. I think Tyler, coming on to Tyler, I think he's ready. And for anybody to say, oh, you need to hold him back, look after him, I think he's outstanding. I think he's one of the best players I've seen come out of that academy for a long time. He's ready now to be unleashed against Man United in a couple of weeks' time. I'd throw him in the 11 now. I seriously would. I wouldn't hold back with him now. He's an unknown quantity, isn't he? Nobody knows anything about him. Nobody knows what he's going to do, where he's going to go. And that performance off the bench, Harrison, at the weekend, I was mega impressed with what he did.
I mean,
in that 30 minutes, class, really.
I mean, for his age, it really was sort of an impressive sort of, I'm in the Premier League. This is what I can do. My concern is his fitness. He seems to be a player that
90 minutes,
Can he do it for 90 minutes? So, to be honest, can you do it for 70 minutes in the Premier League with that intense pressing constantly, with having to be alert at all times? You have to have your head on a swivel where every single moment you have to know who's about to press you, where they're going to be. And he's come on against tired legs, which I know was a point made on the Total Saints podcast. And I think he's ready for it. I think he's personally going to be chomping at the bit for the opportunity. I agree with you. I think Fernandez and Ogachukwueze look really good. I don't know if I'd start both of them. I think they both need to be weaned in eventually.
Yeah, whether he plays a double pivot, it's a big thing to go for, isn't it? To start playing a double pivot.
For me personally, I think really Fernandez and Dibbling go straight in my team for me, with Archer up front, and we'll try Cornet on the left against Man United as a free hit. Give it a go. That would be my way to go.
I think Cornet's exciting.
He scored loads of goals for Burnley in the Championship. He's come to the Premier League, and then he's gone to West Ham. He's not really done it. We are signing players for a bit of money that have questions over their head. And it was one of my reservations I had about our transfer window. I'm not completely satisfied with it. I think there's been a lot of good done. I think Ramsdale's an absolutely amazing statement. A massive statement signing. I would have liked us to go and get another striker. My other thing is there's players, it sounds stupid, there's players like Nketiah. Okay, he's gone to Crystal Palace. A lot of people would argue he's way too good for us. And that may be true, but a lot of people said that about Ramsdale, and we seem to manage to have that fall into our laps. Nketiah has gone to Palace, and a lot of the Palace fans think that he's going to be the number 2 striker. Is he going to get in front of is it Edouard up front they've got for them? That would have been a player that I would have been looking at going, he's done a job for Arsenal. I know he's in a lot better team and his service would have been a lot better, but he would have got regular minutes against us, and that would have been where I would have been looking. But we've got Archer, 21-year-old, and we genuinely have no idea how he's going to perform. He's shown glimpses and minutes. I mean, when he came off on the bench against Brentford, we didn't really find him. He didn't have a lot to do. So we can't really blame his performance. We won't really find him the ball. I have to say, one thing I noticed with Brentford is Ramsdale. I thought he was fabulous the first game. I think the fact that he had 3 goals.
Somebody put on my TikTok account, he didn't have a very good game. He says, "Oh yeah, he's not that good." I was like, "Mate, he's not even trained with the team yet. He's unbelievably good with the ball at his feet. He's a lot better than I thought he was going to be with the ball at his feet. To be honest, I thought he was good."
Yeah, I mean the way he dominates his box is seriously impressive. I mean, one of the things we've been screaming out for as Saints fans, watching goalkeeper after goalkeeper after goalkeeper, from Forster to McCarthy to Bazunu. And Bazunu started to do it, and then he started to make mistakes, if you remember, when he was trying to come out and collect crosses and stuff. So he stopped and sort of kept back to the basics. And people pinned a man on him because he was slightly smaller. I think a man of, Ramsdale's not that tall, but his leap, the ability to come and grab the ball out of the air and just take the pressure off your defense
It's class,
is
isn't it?
so important. Absolutely quality. I mean, and we were under pressure. The first 5 minutes of the game, they were on us. And he came out, he stopped the ball, stopped a goal scoring opportunity straight away. And it was like, right, I am here. I am your shot stopper. You can have confidence in me. The one thing I'm really worried about is he kicks the ball long. And I love it because he can do it and he can find Diaz. And if we have Cornet as well,
I know.
And if we have Cornet as well, we're going to have bigger players that can actually try and get on the end of it and try and knock it down. And I there was a point that I was listening to on the TSP where they were saying, oh, when you knock it down, the chance, there's always still a small chance of you actually getting on the ball. Why is it then that Man City almost win every second and third ball then?
Yeah.
Why is it? It's not because they've got big players up front. When they're drilling it up the field, yes, they've got Haaland and he's very good at winning the ball. But even before then, they've been doing it. That they are coached in such a way that when the ball has to go long, they are able to win those second and third chances. They're in the right positions to pick up the players. So there is a skill in winning the second and third ball, and it's something that I felt the Saints have needed to learn for a long time. And I think with those bigger options up front, I'm really worried he's going to be coached out of playing that ball up because we saw it before.
Because
McCarthy, that first game, that game when McCarthy came in, and we're just before West Brom, and he started to kick the ball long a little. You could see the next game it was completely coached out of him. He stopped kicking it long completely. He got taught the system Martin wants to play, and I actually think it's one of the things the commentators mentioned on. It's like understanding when enough is enough. That you as a goalkeeper can see the whole pitch. You can see the bigger picture. Surely your judgment as a player to go, do you know what, we're being overpressed here. If I go and do what we're about to do, I can see it falling apart. I think now would be the right time to try and play a ball up long. And that's your professional judgment. And Russell Martin coaches them out of that. And that's what I'm really worried is going to happen because Ramsdale looked raw. We saw all of his raw abilities on against Brentford. And I was amazed by it. And I thought, you know what? If you play like that every single game, I will never, ever have a complaint against you.
Yeah, he'd be worth his weight in gold. Bit of news tonight, actually, for anyone tuning in, is Campbell Cinemana to Ajax's Here We Go, according to Fabrizio Romano. It's an exclusive story that's been broken by him. He is the replacement for Bergwijn. It's a loan with an option to buy clause of 20 million euros. He's on his way to Holland. So one man out the door, Campbell Cinemana, and good riddance to him. It wouldn't have featured anyway. All it does is lighten the squad slightly. I think there's still talk with Paul and actually going out the door as well. But to get both those out the door right now would be a massive, massive bonus, wouldn't it, Harrison?
To get Paul out, yeah. But I'm still frustrated that we're keeping Edozie and getting rid of Sulemana. That to me is really bad business, personally.
Russell was really disappointed, wasn't he, with Rangers? I read the article about the dithering last minute by Rangers, and he said he felt really sorry for Sam Edozie because he was ready to go there, I believe, and he was.
Well, maybe they watched his highlights clips and decided that they'd save themselves some money.
Yeah, so he's disappointed for him. He said, I don't know what they can do for him now because I think the squad with Ryan Fraser coming in, Cornet is coming as well. That's two more wide men. You've got Diblin, who's ahead of him, who can play out there. Sam Amiot is probably ahead of him at the moment. Adam Armstrong, Ben Brereton, Diaz. The options out wide are endless.
I think Edozie for me is our least favourite winger. For me personally,
back in the pecking order at this moment in time, isn't it?
Which is for him. I think Championship is his level. Even the Championship last season, there were games when we played against better teams that he just didn't do it. He's quick. He's got the ability to beat a man, but we all know when it comes to that final thing, that pass or that shot, it always seems to not fall for him. And that's quality. That's something you can't teach, in my opinion.
You got that
nous to find a goal and find a pass. You've either got it or you haven't. And there's no amount of coaching that will get you that. For me, he'd suit a Plymouth, a QPR, a player like that, where he's given the freedom to sort of be expressive.
Yeah. He says, we had this conversation earlier on in
we've
the
had this
show as well.
conversation.
We spoke and we said a similar thing. Somebody that's definitely not a championship player and someone that is definitely going to bring some quality to our squad was Adam Lallana. I know he only played a bit part role at the weekend, but when he come on, oozes class. Doesn't look anywhere near a 36-year-old player, does he, Harrison? I thought his what he brought when he come on was really good, really good. Whether he can start games, I don't know, but he certainly looks class.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? When we signed him, I was shocked and really disappointed with the board for going back there.
Yeah, but
I have to say, from what I've seen so far, I might have to be eating my own words by the end of the season, or I hope I will be.
He's been good,
he does.
hasn't
He has class. He's confident. He knows the system. He knows football. It's almost like him and Russell Martin haven't had to talk to each other. They just know how to play football and know how to play in this way. He knows how to find the passes. He's calm when he needs to be. He's creative when he needs to be. He's done a very good job for us coming off the bench, and obviously created the goal on the weekend. For me, fitness is obviously going to be his biggest concern. But up until James Milner got injured, on the weekend, he was still starting for Brighton, which I think is fascinating. Up until he got injured on the weekend, so nobody criticised them for playing Milner, but the criticism that Saints get when we bought Lallana was ridiculous. When Brighton did something very similar with Milner.
I'd rather see him over the side than a few others at this moment in time. I really would.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd start him personally, but I think from the 60th minute, as soon as we're one goal up, I'd get him on because he just controls the game a lot better than any of our players. Yeah, that's sort of where I'm at.
Yeah, I think the Man United game is going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. What we do closer to the game as well, we'll do some initial thoughts on it now. But closer to the time, obviously we both watched. I'm assuming you watched Man United yesterday. I watched the Man United Liverpool game yesterday. Got a good idea what Man United are all about at the moment. Ten Hag's already under massive pressure. 2 defeats out of the first 3 games. Russell Martin 3 defeats out of his first 3. It's a little bit of a pressure on both managers so early. It'd be an interesting game. We'll preview it in a proper bit of detail in a couple of weeks with a United fan. But initially thinking about it, looking ahead to it, how do you feel about this one? Do you see it as a free hit? Because somebody spoke about it yesterday to me as a free hit, and I was like, it kind of is, I guess, in a way. You don't expect to get anything out of it, but we want to go getting battered against them, would we?
No, we've done that before. It is we need points on the board. I'm sorry. We are desperate to get points on the board. So I want Russell Martin to think of this game as if it was his last. And I hope he thinks every game to the end of the season it will be his last, and he wants to go out on a high. Because not that I'm necessarily saying that that's going to happen, or I want it to happen, but at the moment fans are very frustrated. We need to see something. At the moment, we're not seeing it. We're seeing glimpses. We're seeing, little bits of ingenious where we play counter-attacking football, but then that's not our style. Our style is wait for 10 men behind the ball. It's so frustrating, isn't it? And as much as it is a free hit because they're a top side, at the same time, they're there for the taking. They are they are very disorganized and they don't press well at all.
Yeah,
they're one of the worst pressing teams.
Got a few sulkers in their side, haven't they? They got some sulkers in their side. I was chatting on the podcast a minute ago about it. I watched Rashford yesterday. His body language is terrible at the moment. I love him as a player, but he's having a horrific time at the moment. Whether he play against us, I don't know. But he's having he's in a really bad space. You can see it. Doesn't look happy. He gets the ball. He turns back, goes inside. Doesn't want to take his man on anymore. Casemiro got absolutely ruined by the fans yesterday for his performance. Two big mistakes from him. One of their senior pros in the dressing room pulled off at halftime yesterday. He's got a lot of issues there, Erik ten Hag. They've got beaten by Brighton already down at the Amex a week ago. Beaten heavily. Liverpool could have beaten them by 5 or 6 yesterday, in my opinion. I thought they were brilliant, Liverpool. Such a good side to watch. he would have to come to Southampton and get something. You think otherwise, the pressure on him will be huge.
It will be, and if we were to do anything against them, it would all be about why Man United are bad and why we weren't good. You know, it doesn't add anything to us if we win or not. Not to the narrative anyway. For me, their weakness is obviously midfield, but they do have. I always found when we played them the season we went down and the season before that, we matched them under Hasenhüttl. Well, I felt
we did
on the pitch tactically we matched them, and it was always a bit of brilliance from one of their players that ended up seeing them with the win. They're one of those teams that have threats all over the pitch. They're brilliant players all over the pitch, and at any time one of them can pull something out there out of nowhere. And that's what we have to worry about. I think individual brilliance is where we're going to have to worry. I think the international break could be perfect for us. I think if he's going to try and reinvent the system at all in any way or make tweaks, he's going to need the 2 weeks to do it.
And he had a great time last time round, didn't he? Good success a year ago. We were off the back of a really bad run, weren't we? The 4 games that we have been beaten with Leicester, Ipswich, the Borough defeat, and obviously that thumping at Sunderland. He had the international break. We come out against Leeds. We come home to the Leeds game. He'd had an international break, and we were brilliant that day. To get anything close to that, get on the front foot from the get-go, start fast. And we really took the game to Leeds that day, didn't we? And we won it comfortably in the end. Different league, different opposition, but
and Leeds fans, I hate this, but they're nowhere near the quality of Man United. So, for me, I think it's going to be a tall ask, isn't it, to even try and beat them? Is it possible? Of course, it's possible. It's football; anything can happen.
Absolutely, yeah.
We really need it to happen, and I really want it to happen. And I bet you when we get to there and we're doing the prediction, I'll still say Saints to win because I can't, in my heart of me, ever predict Saints to lose. Because I feel like I'm going to jinx it. So yeah, we know what we've got to do. We know the tweaks the manager's got to make. We know that the system needs changing, and the style of football needs tweaking. And we've got hopes for certain players to come in. We've got hopes for Ramsdale not to be coached out of the way he was playing on the weekend and to be a very structured footballer again, because I thought he was brilliant on the weekend. Even his passes with his arm and his half side volleys were really impressive. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Man United, as you said, is that's a good point. If we get 3 points against United and 3 points against Ipswich at the start of the season, will be forgotten.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. I fear a defeat or a heavy defeat by Man United. It ramps up a huge amount of pressure on the Ipswich.
It does, especially then Ipswich then come to us, and then we go to Bournemouth, and Bournemouth's on a Monday night on Sky Sports.
Yeah, tough.
So really, that is box office. That is where pressure builds up. And I said this during the transfer video live stream we did. That I said for me. I said at the start of the season, I said, if we don't start well and the fans start going, Bournemouth will be the game where I think the board will be forced to make a statement over whether they're sticking or twisting.
It'd be interesting to see. The Ipswich look a good side. I watched the highlights again this morning. I watched 30 minutes on Sky, and I've got to say, Liam Delap for them looks a real handful. They're really round the channels. He's big, he's strong. Calvin Phillips looks fairly tidy in midfield for them. He wasn't spectacular, but they were steady. Smodic in there, he's just neat and tidy.
Smodic and Clark,
really good side.
They were the two really when we did the transfer window. I said I was really disappointed we didn't go and get them, especially for the price
Clark
that they went
good
for
them the weekend. Really good.
We've gone and got Diaz and Cornet over Clark, and what I find that is a baffling situation because. Isn't Clark and Russell Martin, haven't they got the same agent, or are he's best friends with the agent?
They knew the agent, he said, yeah.
So he did say and yet that deal wasn't on for us, which I just think is absolutely mental. You can see already the impact he's had. And Ipswich, out of everyone that's come up, have looked the team that are going to stay.
They look really good, don't they? I think it's going to be a hell of a game at St Mary's. It'll be a brilliant game. 2 back-to-back home games now. I think it's there could be a better way to come back for the international break. It's just a shame that Man United's the first
We've
to come
got,
back, but
we
you just
have an
never know.
opportunity to build.
Yeah, we do. There's a massive meltdown across social media, and everyone's panicking a little bit. We're 3 games in. Judge it after the next 4, and I think we'll have a really good idea if he's adapted to what's gone wrong so far, if he's used the personnel he's brought in. I think it'd give us we'll really be able to judge it in a month's
Yeah,
time.
I think for me, after Monday night football against Bournemouth, that's when I'll know whether I've got my pitchfork out or whether I've calmed down.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'm not going. You know, obviously, you don't ever want to see any manager lose their job because you always hope the best for every manager, and we know he's going to live and die by the sword. But at the same time, I don't want to see my football club go down, and I think a lot of fans feel the same. And
everybody's writing us off, aren't they? Like all the pundits are writing us off.
Yeah, we've already been written off, which is heartbreaking
really.
to see.
Yeah. It's a Burnley 2.0. You know, they're playing that way. They're going to get relegated. You know, Shearer's come out today in their podcast on BBC. It's relentless. Everywhere I've looked, it's been relentless. I'm just kind of glad for the international break and a little bit of downtime. And talking about downtime, this will probably be my last live stream until next week when we do the Man United previews. We'll preview Man United Harrison. I'll get you along for it. We'll get a Man United fan on the show. We'll do a good hour previewing the Man United game because it'd be really good to get somebody on. There's loads of good options as well to bring on the show. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. There's been anything between sort of like 45 and 60 people watching the live tonight. So thank you all very much for tuning in live. Hope you've enjoyed the content. If you have done so, please do like and subscribe to my channel. It would mean the absolute world to me. Every subscriber means the world to me. So thank you very much indeed. Harrison, a massive shout out for your time late this Monday evening. We'll be back with the final word after the next home game on the Monday. We will do that, and we'll be doing a preview. It'll be on the Thursday in the build up to the Man United game. We'll see you all again soon. And thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, guys.